Welcome to State of the Nation. My name is David Laflin, and over the past few weeks I've had a chance to work with several different churches, and I always try to pay attention to the conversations we're having. What is it that keeps coming up again and again? And one thing that seems to be talked about regularly recently is, what can we do to make our large group times better? Not just the teaching, but how can we keep kids engaged in the things that are happening? So today I wanted to share with you a few things that I think anybody can do to make your large group time even more effective and to keep kids engaged. But I have to say, for everybody watching this video, I know that when you hear large group, that means something different for you. For some of you, your large groups are when you gather 20 kids, and that's fantastic. For some of you, you might have large groups that are hundreds of kids, or you might be in auditoriums where there are sometimes thousands of kids that show up, and you have to keep them engaged with what's happening. But here's the thing, whether you are working with 20 kids, hundreds of kids, or thousands of kids, there's a few things that always are true. And the first thing is that you need to, first of all, prepare for what you're teaching. See, the truth is that sometimes in kids ministry, we get so good at being spur of the moment. We get put in positions where we just have to figure it out. And sometimes we rely on that ability to be spontaneous a little too much. So much that we don't put as much time and effort into preparing our teaching as we should. And we think, well, I know the story and I've kind of glanced over the key points. But the reality is that kids can tell when you're prepared and when you're not. And if you have not put the time into preparing what you're going to be doing, then kids subconsciously think, if they didn't care enough to prepare for this, why should I care to listen to it? So make sure you actually prepare. The other thing is that there may be areas of the Bible that we feel like, this probably isn't the thing that we should teach in kids ministry, but there is nothing in the Bible that is for kids only. You can learn when you take the time to reflect on the lesson you're teaching the kids and ask Jesus, how does this affect me in my life? What should I be getting out of this lesson? So prepare your lesson, and on top of that, prepare everything else that you're going to do. Prepare your games, prepare your skits, prepare your music, and part of that preparation, this is a key point that a lot of people miss, is actually knowing how long do those things take? How long do those songs take to sing? How long does that game take to play? How long does that skit take? But not only that, how long is it going to take you, and what are you going to need to do to move from one thing to the next? Prepare your message, prepare your songs, skits, music, whatever it is you're doing, and prepare your transitions. See, we can move from one thing to the next in many different ways. How you do it really is important. I love to often just have a certain song that plays when we move from maybe pre-service activities to actually the formal start of service. And just one song that comes on can be the only cue that kids need to say, hey, we need to get to our seats because it's about to happen. We could transition with a song, with a video, or maybe even a song that's not just played but sung from the stage. And of course, the way that song is sung, the mood of the song, is going to transition us maybe from a time of craziness to a time of seriousness. And the last thing I'll say is make sure that you prepare your leaders. You see, oftentimes, some of the things that happen within our large group settings could change dynamically if your leaders are properly trained. You see, I'm amazed at the times where leaders sit out in the audience and don't engage with what's happening. Those leaders need to be taught that you are setting an example for the kids around you. When we sing songs, I need you on your feet, super excited and engaged doing the actions. If you just sit there or you act like you're too cool to do the actions, the kids are going to act the same way. Get involved, be excited, pay attention, and pay attention to the kids near you. Make sure they're engaged. It always frustrates me when I see somebody from the stage have to stop what they're doing to correct some sort of discipline problem or some kids that are acting a little crazy, and then we see that there was a leader seated just 3 chairs down. That leader could have dealt with the problem without disrupting everything that was happening in the large group. Make sure those leaders know what they're doing. And of course, make sure which one of those leaders knows that they are in charge of maybe those parents or kids that show up late or turn up early to leave the service. I'm amazed at parents that sit in the back of the large group or stand in the back and have a conversation at normal volume level as if they're totally unaware that something is happening in the distraction they are. So make sure people know who's going to deal with those distractions. Of course, as we prepare for all of these things, we need to pray over these things, and of course, also prepare for kids to respond to your message. Make sure that you realize that you really do have an amazing opportunity to speak into the life of these kids. So prepare not just your message, but for a time to reflect and follow up on what God is doing in their hearts. I hope those things help you have even more success in your large groups. Thanks so much.